So it's that time of year again. The fear of autistic people all around the world. Holidays. Personally, I celebrate Christmas, so that's gonna be sort of the basis for what I talk about. But I'm thinking that a lot of the points I make are transferable. I also know that even within Christmas traditions, there's a lot of differences across countries for how many days are involved in festivities and just things like how big the dinner is and when presents are opened and all of those things. So you might have to sort of tweak things a bit. But really, the things that I mention here are quite general. I hope. Anyway, I just thought I would share a little bit about what I do to make the Christmas days easier for myself as an autistic adult. But also just keep in mind that for autistic children, they can't necessarily say these things themselves, but that doesn't mean that it's not pertinent to them or that they wouldn't be helped by the same things. So, yeah. In general, any time of year, any day that involves a lot of sensory sensitivities and social requirements is kind of a big deal for us and can create a bit of anxiety and just leading up to it because we're anticipating all of that pressure. And so, yeah, it's a little bit stressful even just thinking about what's going to happen. So obviously, if you are the host or if you are the parents of an autistic child, do whatever you can to prepare any autistic individual that you're dealing with. Prepare them for what's involved. Tell them what's expected of them. Tell them what you are trying to do to make the situation easier for them, such as some of the suggestions that I'm going to make. Now, I'm just going to go through some really quick, simple ones that, these are the things that I do for myself, and that I have my family do to make things easier for me. That doesn't mean that it's going to be easy for everyone. I recognize that, but I do think that these are some of the more simple things that you can do. So, the first thing is noise-canceling headphones. Noise-canceling headphones are magic. When you're at the dinner table, I realize that as a neurotypical person, when you're having your dinner and you see a child or a teenager or even an adult sitting there with their noise-canceling headphones on, you might look at that and think, that person is being antisocial. That person is not listening to the conversation. They don't want to be here. That's not what noise-canceling headphones mean. And that's not what they do. Noise-canceling headphones eliminate background noise for the most part. But if you're at a big dinner table, what they also do is that they convert some of the voices that are further away into background noise. And they make it easier to filter the words of what's being said. So what can actually happen if, like me, if you're in a family where you are 10, 12, or maybe more people at the dining table, that person with the noise-canceling headphones on, what's going to happen for them is they're going to have an easier time focusing on the 2 or 3 voices that are closest to them. and they're going to have an easier time filtering out all the other conversations that are going on. Without the noise-canceling headphones, what can happen is sort of a sensory onslaught of voices. Some of us have a very difficult time filtering out conversations that are happening quite far away, and it's almost like our brains are trying to keep up with all of the conversations all the time, and that's not possible, and it makes it really difficult to pay attention to the person you're talking to. That person that's right next to you doesn't understand why you can't hear what you're saying, why you can't hear what they're saying, but it's because we are simultaneously hearing and processing the conversations of the people on our right and our left and across the table and everywhere. And listening to 5 conversations at the same time just doesn't work. So those noise-canceling headphones can actually benefit in being able to focus on those people that are close to you and the conversations that you actually need to be able to hear. And those other voices will be sort of filtered down and away a little bit. So that is one thing that can be really helpful. And please, if you are the host, or if you are the parent and can communicate with the host, or if you are parents that are hosting, communicate to your guests that those noise-canceling headphones are actually a really, really helpful tool for that child, teenager, or adult to be able to participate in a more effective way and in a less stressful way in the social gathering. So, noise-canceling headphones, awesome. The second thing is, if it's at all possible to have kind of a little quiet room available. This doesn't have to be specially decorated or of a certain size or anything. But just having a room that you can go into that isn't crowded, that doesn't have a lot of noises, and you can maybe just go in there for 5 or 10 minutes just to breathe, play a little game on your phone, come back. You know, it doesn't have to be a big thing. And actually, in talking to other autistic adults, I find that they've actually done this, but by excusing themselves to go to the bathroom without even really having to go. And they'll just, sorry, that was my phone. They'll just sort of sit in the bathroom for 5 minutes, even though they don't need to be there, but they just need the quiet. You know what? If there's a room that isn't the bathroom that's available to do that in, that would be great. And it just has to be somewhere that you can go and sit down, even on the floor. You know what? Even just sitting on the floor for 5 minutes, it's fine. And I do this myself, no matter where I'm at. We have a few different places that we go to Christmas, and all of those places I will have somewhere that I can withdraw and just be quiet for a moment and then come back when I'm ready. The other thing is, it's really good to have sort of a panic button, a stop button that you can press. I'm not talking about a physical button, of course. Sorry, I use a lot of figures of speech. It's the way that I've learned to communicate, because I really talk to neurotypicals quite a lot, and so I've adapted the way that I speak and explain things. I hope that I'm making sense, and I'm sorry if there's any confusion. So when I talk about having a panic button, what I mean is knowing that you have the option to tell the person that can drive you away that you want to leave. Like, again, this might be your parents, or it might be your partner, or whatever. If you're not able to drive yourself, of course. Just having the option to say, this is too much, I need to leave now. I can't cope. Even just going and sitting somewhere quiet for half an hour isn't going to be enough. I need to leave. And this can happen, but what I find, my experience is, even in talking to others as well, my experience is that when we have this option available to us, we don't necessarily need to use it, but having the option available can actually prevent a meltdown because it reduces anxiety. Knowing that we have the option to say, stop, I can't do this anymore, I need to go, makes us feel safe, because we know that we're in control of how much we put ourselves through. So if we need to leave, we can. That reduces anxiety, it reduces stress, it makes us feel safe, and it can prevent a meltdown. So if you can have that as an option, please do make it available. And if the person that you're with, if the autistic person needs to use that option, respect it. Show them that you respect that they are wanting to leave, wanting to get out of the situation. Make plans for how it's going to happen if they do use that option. And again, in my experience, once you have shown that you respect when we say no, once you've shown that, we learn to trust it, and then we're actually able to push ourselves further, and we're able to handle a lot more because it's reduced the anxiety and the stress of the situation. So it's actually a really, really good thing to have available, even if it's not the thing that you want to use. And for the most part, it's not the thing that we want to do either. We want to be there. We want to show that that we're present and that we love our family, and we want to participate in the things that make them happy as well. So it's not just that we hate being there and we want to leave. It's just when the sensory sensitivities have become too much, there's a point that you can't turn back, and it's going to be a meltdown, and it's going to be bad. And we feel it coming sometimes, other times we don't feel it coming, especially when we're children. But it's just a much worse situation to have had that meltdown than to be able to say, I want to leave, and being able to leave before that meltdown happens. So that's the preferable situation really to everybody involved, at least in my experience. Now, when it comes to food, holiday dinners are usually very set. There's a certain menu that's there, and if you have sensory sensitivities, either with the smell, the taste, the consistency, it's really difficult to explain, first of all, what a sensory sensitivity towards food is, because non-autistic people, neurotypical people as we like to call them, it's not derogatory, by the way. Neurotypical just means your neurology is typical for the human species. You do not have a neurodifference is really it. It's not meant as a put down. Anyway, non-autistic people can have the opinion or the perception that you're not wanting to eat that food because you just don't like it. Like it's not that tasty for you, or it's not really your favorite food, or it's Christmas so you'd rather want candy, or you're waiting for dessert instead, or blah, 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 blah. And that's not what a sensory sensitivity is. So if it's because you just don't like it, or you'd rather eat dessert, please don't call that a sensory sensitivity. It's not the same thing. Sensory sensitivities are intense differences in the way you process the sensory input of something, like a smell, a taste, a texture, consistency, anything. So A sensory sensitivity can also just be that a fabric that feels very soft to someone feels very scratchy for you, and can be very intense. And it's not something you get used to or you get over it. It's how you experience that sensory input. So when it comes to food, what can happen is that it's actually a very violent reaction, and it's not just a feeling of dislike, it's actually intense nausea or even getting sick, getting physically sick. And when you have a sensory sensitivity towards a food, you know what your reaction is going to be. It's, in that way, it's comparable to having an allergy, you know? You know how your body's going to react to this. You know how unpleasant it's going to be. And of course, you're not going to want to taste it one more time or, you know, put yourself through that experience again, because you know how it's going to end. And it can be very difficult for people without sensory sensitivities to understand how unpleasant it is to be forced to eat something that you have a bad sensory sensitivity towards. If you are a non-autistic person listening to this, please understand that forcing an autistic person to eat something that they have a sensory sensitivity towards, it can be traumatic. It can actually be traumatic. Because if that person has been made physically ill, either by feeling very intensely nauseous for a very long time, or by, for example, actually throwing up, if they've tried that a number of times, when you force them to eat that thing, they know that that's going to happen again. And they know now, because they're at a holiday dinner with a lot of people, they know that it's going to happen in front of people. And that's humiliating. And it's highly stressful. It's anxious. It's all of the bad emotions. Please, please, please don't do it. What you can instead do is, the parts of the holiday menu that they can eat, just let them eat that. And if there is nothing on the table that they feel comfortable eating, there's probably something quick and easy that they are able to eat, that they can bring or cook separately. This might be something so simple as rice, plain pasta, a bit of yogurt. It can be the simplest things. And sometimes it's even just fresh fruit and vegetables that have not been processed. Very often, in my experience, the things that autistic people really do like to eat are things that have not been doused in dressing or seasoning, things that have not been cooked, or it's things that have been overcooked, that they're mushy. So it's usually very, very simple things. Please make that adjustment, you know. There will be more of the delicious holiday dinner for you, and they can eat the thing they like, and everyone is happy. And it's not because we're trying to disrespect you at all. It's how our bodies work. It's how our taste buds work. And, you know, it would be wonderful for us if we liked that holiday dinner and we could enjoy it with you. That would be great, but that's not reality. And we just have to live in the world that we live in. And this is it. Please respect it. We're not trying to be disrespectful to you. We're just trying to exist. We're just trying to live. And holidays are really stressful as it is. So please, please don't make it worse. And especially this thing with like the dinner, with having to lead conversations and having to eat food that you don't like, and sometimes for a lot of hours at a time. This is the thing that is most stressful in my experience for autistic children, and sometimes for autistic adults too. Personally, there are parts of the Christmas dinner that I like more than others, so I'll just not take the things I don't like. I have a sensory sensitivity towards coffee. It makes me very, very nauseous. There's nothing I can do about it. I've tried everything. I just can't drink it, even though it's a big part of my culture to drink coffee together. So instead, I'll drink tea or soda or water, whatever. I'm still there. I'm still being social. I'm just not having coffee with you. So, just make your reality work. And please, if you are the non-autistic person in this situation, help us make our reality work. We're just trying to coexist and make it as pleasant as possible. And it really can be. It really, really can be. So allow us these little concessions, and things will run a lot smoother. Now, if a meltdown still happens, try not to blame us. It's not something we're wanting to happen. Having a meltdown is very unpleasant for us as well. Really, really unpleasant. It's something that can linger physically as a feeling for days afterwards. It is highly stressful, and when it happens in front of other people, it can feel humiliating. It can feel extra bad when you're not able to withdraw. So allow us to withdraw, communicate simply with us. Things like, this room is empty right now. Would you like to go in there? Okay, here's your phone. You can play a game on your phone. What would you like me to find for you? There's this game, this game, this game. Choice. Simple. And if you already know that that person doesn't respond well to choices, this goes especially for young children, just give them one option, wait for the response, and if it's a bad response, different option, wait. Processing time can be slowed down a lot during a meltdown because the brain sort of locks. It's chaos, and at the same time you can't move. You can't jump to a different track. You can't think of new options and things. It's all just, it's a very sort of closed, panicky sort of freeze thing, where at the same time it's completely chaotic. And meltdowns also come out very differently. So I'm inward reacting, which means that I will sort of shut down, cry. Sometimes I'll stim, but it won't be like big. Other people react outwards, which means that they will yell, scream, walk around, maybe hit themselves, maybe start throwing things. And this is uncomfortable for you. It's super uncomfortable for you. It can be something that's very anxiety inducing and stressful to even witness. Please try to remember, even if you can't remember in the situation, please try to remember afterwards that that situation was just as uncomfortable for the person going through the meltdown. They didn't want to do that. They didn't want to hurt anyone. They didn't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable. Something was happening for them that they didn't know how to express. They didn't know how to get out of the situation. They didn't know how to make the bad emotion, whatever it was, go away. So this is not a conscious thing that we're doing to manipulate. It's not something that we're doing to get attention. Usually very much the opposite. Usually we're wanting to leave a situation and we don't know how. So help us do that. Give us a calm environment, usually a closed, dark room will be very helpful. Usually distractions like tablet games, mobile games, YouTube videos, Netflix series, anything like that. Or if you have an item that is useful for stimming, such as a tangle or a fidget spinner, or if you have an item that's related to that person's special interest, that can help bring that energy back down, and then you can take the situation from there. So this is already a very long video, and I've just named a few things that can be helpful and tried to explain them, and I hope that I've done that all right. I hope that this video is helpful and can give you guys some ideas for how to manage this extremely stressful but also very awesome time of year. I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday, no matter what you celebrate. And yeah, just be nice to each other, be kind out there, spread the happiness, and when things are tough, just keep swimming. Yeah. Now I wanted to just end this video by giving a quick personal update, because I know that I've been very absent, not just from YouTube, but also from Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, which are usually the places that you can keep up with me just a little bit. I have been reading comments, and I read Twitter. I keep up with, well, I don't keep up. It's impossible to keep up, but I read segments of the actually autistic parts of Twitter. I try to keep up. I try to note some of the important things that are going on, and I want to participate. As you guys know, I'm studying at university. I'm studying psychology. I am now 1 year through my master's degree, and this first year of my master's degree has been very tough, partially due to my own illness. It's not been the same illness. I'm just sort of not getting properly healthy. I wasn't actually ill in the spring. I had an injury. But now since about August, I've been ill and not really getting better. And a big part of it is probably stress, but I haven't really been able to do anything about that during this semester. There's also some illness happening in my family, which is really unfortunate, and it's tough, but we're crossing our fingers that it'll get better. But as of now, I have no clue where it's going. And I'm just hoping that I can get healthy so that I have a bit more stamina, energy to cope. As for my university studies, I am right now through 3 of my 4 exams for the semester. I have 1 more in January. I'm hoping that I pass everything. It's very important that I pass, because one of the exams that I've just had is a prerequisite for starting my internship, which I'm actually starting in January, so I'm really hoping that that's all gonna be good. Once I start my internship, I have just that and my thesis, and then I will be done. Then hopefully in a year-ish, might be January instead of December. I don't know. Hopefully in about a year's time, I will be a psychologist. Boom. And then hopefully I will be healthy by then. And some of the other circumstances will have calmed down a little. Yeah. So that's where we're at right now. I'm sorry that I'm not being very active, and just know that I am reading stuff. I am reading comments that are coming in, and I am around. I just have had to really prioritize my energy, and I'm just keeping on swimming. That's what I'm doing right now. So that's it. Have a great time, you guys. Lovely holidays. Wonderful New Year's. And, keep your coping mechanisms close by, and try to communicate with the people around you. And if it's tough to do that, refer them to things like this video. I'm sure there's a ton of others and a ton of articles. Just refer them to places where they can read something that will help them understand, read or listen to something that'll help them understand your difficulties. You can get through it, and even if it's tough, you learn from it, and eventually you'll find a way that you can make the very social times of year, the big holidays, you can make them a pleasant experience for you as well. I know that I'm looking forward to it, and I will keep my noise cancelling headphones with me, and I have my quiet room on hand, so to speak. I have it available in the places that I'm going to be, and steering clear of my sensory sensitivities as much as possible. All the best to you guys, and I hope that I'll see you soon.